This past week of MAGA Republican extremism should give everybody in America pause. We should take time to think about what it is that Donald Trump, the MAGA movement, and all its many tentacles stand for. What is it that they believe in? Is it the same as what Ronald Reagan believed in, and George Herbert Walker Bush, and Dwight Eisenhower? Or has the Republican Party metastasized, turned into something new, dangerous, cancerous, illiberal, antithetical to the tenets and ideals, not just of the founding of the Republican Party, but of the founding of the United States? Has the Republican Party become a vehicle for a foreign ideology? It has. What is the name of that ideology? What should we call it? What is it that we're seeing? What do you call it when Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida demands that Florida businesses, including the most important ones in his state, get in line behind his political agenda? What do you call it when the leader of a government says there will be no dissent of the government or the government will punish you? What is the name of the philosophy that holds that the state is superior to the citizen, that the citizen serves the state and not the other way around? There was a philosophy invented in the 20th century by an Italian. He made it up. He was the father of it. He gave a speech defining what it was and what it wasn't. His name was Benito Mussolini, the father of fascism. He wasn't the only fascist. Hitler was a fascist. It's important to remember, while all Nazis were fascists, not all fascists were Nazis. Pinochet was a fascist, and so was Franco. Fascism has come to America, and not for the first time. Charles Lindbergh was a fascist. The pre-war America First movement was a fascist movement. It was sympathetic to Adolf Hitler. In fact, it was downright supportive of him in many quarters. We should always remember the truth against the mythology of the Second World War. The truth is that after Kristallnacht, Madison Square Garden was sold out by American Nazis. On the stage was a giant banner featuring George Washington, festooned with swastikas. The stormtroopers marched. The American Führer, Fritz Kuhn, spoke. Fascism isn't new to America. When Donald Trump ran for president, he ran as a narcissist and an egotist. He ran as the host of Celebrity Apprentice. And everybody around Donald Trump, including Donald Trump, believed he had no chance to win that election. But he did win. And when he won, he accumulated great power. And he drew to him all manner of ideologues and cynics to match his corruption and his self-interest. And over time, that mutuality of interests formed an ideology. And the ideology it formed was the one most consistent with Trump's personality, his narcissism. A fascist ideology was reborn on American soil during the Trump years. Let's look at the events of the last week. In the state of Tennessee, a 27 and 28-year-old elected members of the Tennessee legislature were expelled because they led a protest on the Tennessee House floor after the latest mass shooting, which isn't even the latest mass shooting anymore after Louisville yesterday. And by the time that this airs, the Louisville shooting may not be the last one anymore either. We saw a Trump-appointed federal judge with the stroke of a pen outlaw a drug that's relied on by millions of American women. It gives them agency, and it is necessary medically after 1 million of them have a miscarriage every year. There's no basis in law for this. This is the imposition of a religious doctrine on the whole of the American people by one person. This is antithetical to the notion of American liberty. The decision is without precedent. It's a profound overreach, and it speaks to the corruption that has infested the American judiciary. The idea that a Supreme Court justice can travel the world on a private plane to the most exotic locales on the world, accessible only by super yacht, and not report it. Incredibly, the man that Clarence Thomas is being wined and dined by has a collection of Nazi memorabilia. Guests and visitors to his home have described the scene as shocking. He even has 2 paintings by Adolf Hitler. There's a great reluctance in the United States, particularly because of all of the official functions and symmetries that flow from a 2-party system in Washington, D.C. One of the annual rituals is upon us, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where members of the media and members of both political parties and civil society gather together for a dinner celebrating the First Amendment. Now, this dinner has become tarnished and deeply corrupted and become a great symbol for access journalism. But there's a deeper issue. The Republican member at that dinner is either a fascist, like Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan and Marjorie Taylor Greene, or a fascist sympathizer who has allowed the fascists to take over the Republican Party lock, stock, and barrel. This election cycle is a late starting one, but soon it will be in full fury. And it may well be that we see a rematch in 2024 between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. The greatest piece of misinformation that anybody will hear in the 24 cycle is this, that this is a race between a Democrat and a Republican. The Republican Party, such as it was, is gone, doesn't exist anymore. That party believed in democracy, and this MAGA party doesn't. That's the difference. It's what makes the MAGA party, the Republican MAGA party, an un-American party, because it seeks to tear down the foundation of America, which is free elections by free people. This is a country where the individual is above the state, and where the people do not serve the state, and the state is not the leader, and the leader is not the party, and the party is not the state. These sick ideologies were crushed in the 20th century, and to see them reborn from the narcissism and ego of a depraved and addled man is heartbreaking and a great tragedy. And unless it's defeated, is something our descendants will not understand why we did not stop it when we had the chance to easily do so. The election ahead is a choice between democracy and American fascism. There's only one pro-American side in that choice. What side are you on?